What is your all-time most embarrassing moment? Was on an airplane years ago with my girlfriend and her parents. My girlfriend couldn't get a seat next to me and sat directly behind me. During the flight, I thought I would surprise her and reached my hand back onto her knee. Slowly, I kept extending it up her thigh until I heard giggling. Looked behind through the seats and saw that my hand was on the leg of the guy next to her. He saw my face and said, "I just wanted to see how far you'd go." Of course, my girlfriend was in on it and started laughing along with the rest of the row. Was so embarrassed. This takes the cake for me. This was my favorite too, but at least the context wasn't lost on the audience. It's much less embarrassing when you don't have to explain yourself. That was my thought. I wouldn't find this embarrassing because the context wasn't removed. It was a funny situation and everyone understood what was happening. Just need to laugh at yourself sometimes. The amount of times I've been misled into thinking someone was trying to high-five me and then going in for it. I've wanted to die every time. I hit face first into a streetlight lamppost because I was staring while walking at a beautiful girl walking towards the direction where I'm coming from. It was in front of the main gate of our university. Hundreds of students saw it. My friends laughed hard as hell. I went to a small school, about 50 kids per grade. 2 classes per grade. I didn't get along very well with a lot of the kids there. I did not get along with the popular guy in school, but I had my small group of friends. However, there were not many girls at our school, and I didn't socialize with any of them that were worth talking to. That changed when a new girl came to our school in 6th grade. Over the first few months of school, we became friends, and I got her number to talk to her outside of school. Things are going great, and I ended up asking her out, and she said yes. Word started getting around that we were dating, like the next day, and the popular guy in school informed me that I was too much of a loser to be dating her and that he was gonna get her to go out with him instead. He was not interested in her prior to me asking her out. Later that week, a kid in our class was having a birthday party at his house and everyone in school was invited. I didn't like the kid, so I planned on not going. I asked my new girlfriend if she was gonna go and she said she wasn't going either, so we planned to talk on the phone that night. She called me later that night to chat. I don't remember the whole conversation, but I do remember her asking questions on why I liked her, what I liked about her, why I asked her out, etc. At some point, she informed me that she didn't want to go out with me anymore. She was going to go out with the popular guy in school. Right then, I heard the laughter of practically everyone in our class. Most of all, I could hear the obnoxious laughter of the popular guy in school. She had called me from the party with our whole class listening to the call to ask me why I liked her, just to let me know she was going to date the popular kid instead of me. I've had a lot of embarrassing moments in life, but nothing quite compares to that. I still think of it when I walk into the offices at work. Usually when I arrive, there's nobody there and I go ahead and do my thing. Walked into work, music blasting out of my earbuds doing the footloose dance to do a swirl, and turn around to see a full conference room of people just staring at me for a solid 10 seconds. Did not know there was an early meeting that day. I started talking to this girl and I really liked her. She and I are big runners and we were starting to run with each other in the morning once a week. Well, one week I told her it looked like we were going to have to cancel since the weather said it was going to rain. She was bummed but understood how miserable running in the rain is. Well, the next morning, the skies are clear as ever and even warm for Colorado in November. I go to check the weather only to find I looked up the weather in Washington, D.C. I have no family there, haven't been there, basically no reason to look up the weather there. We haven't run since. In 4th grade, I was asked to be in my school's spelling bee. I was the only 4th grader and youngest person that would be in it, so I practiced every day for weeks with my mom. Day finally comes, I get every single word wrong. I never attempted to spell even one letter from the words. I just stood there awkwardly and silently for about 10 seconds each time before I sulked away back into my seat without speaking a word the entire time. In front of the entire school and staff, I blanked out when the first word they asked me to spell was rotisserie. When I was in primary school, I think year 5 or something, we had assembly and I got an award for something. I don't remember what. Anyway, I get up, get my award, stand there with other award recipients, and then people clap and we go back to our line. Anyway, I was just getting my glasses right, so I'm blind, can't see well. I spent like 10 to 20 minutes in front of everyone just looking for the spot I was sitting. Nobody helped me. It was just me looking for my spot aimlessly. Eventually I found it, sat down, everyone was laughing at me. 11th grade, I was interviewing for a leadership position in a club for next year. I was really nervous and I walk in and there are a bunch of teachers there as interviewers. When I shake the first teacher's hand, instead of saying nice to see you, I said nice to look at you. Face went tomato red. I still cringe at that when I'm laying in bed at night. In 8th grade, I broke my wrist in gym class. It was a square dancing class. My dad called me Twinkle Toes for years. My nickname was also Twinkle Toes and Miss Grace. When I was little, I once kicked a woman in church in the back of the head. I had to sing up front and afterwards I walked down the main aisle to sit with my parents. My dad is on the end, and as I go to step over his legs, he uncrossed his legs to give me more room, pinning my leg and sweeping it out from underneath me. I pitched headfirst into the hole between the pew in front of ours and the bench seat. My other leg whacked the poor woman in front of us right in the head. I basically did a cartwheel. Saying you too after a waitress told me to enjoy my food has to be right up there. I'm a waitress, it's not a big deal. What's right up there is when I, the waitress, say thanks after they tell me you too. That seems like such a nice exchange though. Oh, I can top that. I directed a customer to our bathrooms. He said thanks and I called to his retreating back, enjoy. I don't know what I was thinking. It's my standard line after delivering a meal, but why did I use it for that? I went to an all-girls Catholic high school. We were having mass or whatever for like Ash Wednesday, and we had Father something or other do a special sermon. I don't know, I never really paid attention to the religious stuff. Anywho, he's really tiny and awkward, and he begins by leading with a joke, I'm a Roman Catholic, and I'm a Roman over here. Well, I think that's the funniest thing, and I begin to laugh maniacally for a solid minute. I'm talking uncontrollable, folded over crying. No one else laughed. All my teachers and classmates, all 200 plus in our auditorium, stare at me like I'm on something. And poor Father something or other looks really embarrassed. Yeah, I don't get it. He cracked a joke about being a Roman Catholic, said he was roaming over there, as in he's traveling somewhere. For example, a local Catholic store here has a small bus thing that's called the Roman Catholic. It's a play on a homonym. My dad uses this joke all the time. When I was about 14 or 15, we had a group music project in school. We had to write a piece of music and then perform it to about half the year, roughly 90 kids. I got put in a group with a girl that I had a huge crush on at the time. She was the musical type, so she took charge of the project. Her first question was, can anyone play an instrument? My first thought was to mention the bass guitar that I had got just 1 week before, knowing full well I could barely play a note. She came up with this piece of music for us to perform and asked if I could play what she'd written on the bass. I was trying to impress this girl, so of course I said yes. A few weeks go by and I'd managed to bluff my way through rehearsal with excuses like, I forgot my bass at home, or fake sicknesses. Somehow this girl still had faith in me that I was some heroic bassist. Performance day comes round and it dawns on me that I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Nevertheless, I get up on stage and I'm absolutely myself. The rest of my group start playing the piece and it sounds amazing, but people begin to stare at me because I'm doing nothing at all. I realize I can't sit there and do nothing, so I just start twanging away at the strings with no idea what sound they would make. Safe to say my random bings and bongs ruined the entire performance. Everyone's laughing at me throughout the song, apart from the rest of my group and the teacher. The girl was in tears and the teacher gave me detention for making a mockery of her project. She thought I was playing deliberately badly. Embarrassment is an understatement. Looking back, I don't know why I didn't just learn the damn music. I decided to go and eat dinner at a Middle Eastern restaurant. The host seated me next to two nuns. Both were older and rather stern looking. I was surprised as I had not seen any nuns for years. Everything was fine until a scantily clad belly dancer comes out dancing for male customers. She went from table to table dancing for each male customer. As she got closer, I got more and more apprehensive. She finally got to my table and did the whole sexy dance routine. I could feel the presence of the nearby nuns watching. I did not want to make the belly dancer feel bad, so I had to behave as though I was enjoying the dance. During the dance, I could almost physically feel two sets of disapproving eyes watching me. I wanted to shrink down into my chair and disappear. I was a teenager with a clunky mobile phone and a crush. Crush and I were getting super flirty, and in my hormone-fueled state, I constructed an elaborate explicit text message. Quite chuffed with myself, I quickly bashed it off to the lucky recipient, and as I see the message sending, I realize with every shame cell in my body that I have just sent my hormone-ravaged text to my wholesome, church-going uncle. Uncle and I have never spoken of this. Completely forgot the lyrics to a song I had a solo in 8th grade, in front of 1,000 people. The choir director has them restart the music 3 times to try to get me to remember it. Then eventually they brought out a sheet with lyrics, and I couldn't remember the tune. Working retail as a kid and complimenting not one, but 2 women for being pregnant when they just had big old beer bellies. Oh no, you were a kid, you learn and grow. Life pro tip, never congratulate a woman who looks to be pregnant unless she mentions the pregnancy or you know her. Some women don't lose the pregnancy weight, some are just fat, some aren't happy about their condition. I was in 3rd grade. Me and my family went to the desert to rent quad bikes for fun. I get into a tiny quad bike and start doing donuts. Now keep in mind that a few hours earlier I was playing GTA Vice City. Anyways, the quad bike flipped on its back and me in my small panicked mind thought it was going to explode. So I booked it, and in the end everyone in that place laughed at me. Middle of summer, riding a bike with a surfboard under one arm. Riding past crowded cafe. Went over a bump. Wobbled for around 10 meters. Fell down embankment. Injured myself and broke the fin on my board. Then had to ride back home. No surf. Had to do an announcement over a loudspeaker today at work. Started laughing so hard I couldn't finish. The entire group of people I was talking to started laughing and then clapped for me when I finally managed to finish. Huge crush on a girl early on in high school. She was older and probably really did like me. Then I wrote her a song. An awful, awful song. Like the sort of ballad only a lovesick, half-literate teen could write when absolutely convinced he had stumbled across true love. I believe the phrase "light of my life" was used multiple times. This was 20 years ago and I'm cringing as I type this. Sorry, Amy. I was super tired at work. Graveyard shift, 12-hour nights. I'd taken a nap in my car, then a coworker was giving out lottery tickets for Christmas, and I naturally just scratched it. It revealed I'd won $10,000, so I was pretty pumped. I see my coworkers all laughing at me as I looked down and it was one of those fake ones. I wanted to bury my head in the machine and not live. They filmed it too for repeated viewings, which each time I want to not live. So I'm home from high school. This was a long time ago. My stepfather bought some sort of a fish on a wooden plaque and set it on the living room table. I come close to check it out and the fish turns towards me and starts singing, "Hello, my baby." I have never before even heard of the singing Billy Bass toy. And in that moment, I was frozen with terror. I thought I had gone crazy or that something is wrong with reality. I stared at the plastic demon. It was still singing the tune, mocking my fear. It took me 15 minutes to calm down. I'm a reserved and quiet guy. Occasionally I do something silly, which is out of character for me, because it makes my wife laugh. So we're at a huge bookstore. We split up and I'm looking at a shelf of books. Through a gap in the shelf, I recognized my wife's outfit on the other side. Just then, the overhead music launched into a wailing guitar solo, so I decided to be funny. I jumped out from behind the shelf, eyes clamped shut, face screwed up in an impression of concentration, one hand up by my face, the other by my waist, fingers wiggling as I pulled the fiercest air guitar I could manage. I let it go on for a few seconds before I realized I wasn't getting a laugh. I opened my eyes and it wasn't my wife, just a similarly dressed woman staring at me in horror and clutching her purse, as if this was the prelude to some type of mugging. I turned around and walked out of the store immediately, my entire face red and burning. I got to the car and texted the wife, "I'll be waiting at the car. Come out whenever. I'll explain later." I have not been back to that bookstore since. My wife and I drove past a garage sale on our way to do some errands, so we whipped back around and started browsing the wares. There were a few people around, but it wasn't too busy. There was a shelf with some iron cookware that I was looking at, but couldn't find the price tag on it. Finally, this lady walked up to me and said, this isn't a garage sale. We're just helping this lady move. We legit just walked up to a group of people helping an old lady move and just started digging through her I seriously have never been so embarrassed. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell for more videos.